We will light yahrzeit candles to remember all those whose lives have been lost in the past week, as well as all of those killed under apartheid and occupation. Each of the people who was lost was someone's loved one. They were parents, children, teachers, doctors, artists, neighbors, and so much more. All lives lost too soon. As we light these candles, we extend the memory of those whom death has taken from us.
Usually, we recite Mourner's Kaddish in the period following the death of a loved one. Over the years, as we have had moments of extreme grief, hearing the news coming from the ground, we have all felt this moment of loss. And many of us are feeling the grief acutely right now. It can be a deeply isolating experience to feel this grief, particularly when we have people around us who can't necessarily identify with it. Today, we join each other in community, in grief and in loss, to mourn together. We don't mourn alone. Jews don't mourn alone. We mourn collectively. The Mourner's Kaddish is a prayer that requires a minyan, 10 adult Jews to recite, because we need connection in our deepest moments of grief. We are here today to hold each other in our feelings and in our grief, to remember the lives that have been lost, and to feel the power that lies in this community right here. We are going to recite the Mourner's Kaddish for all of the dead, for the Israelis, for the Palestinians, for all those who have lost their lives to occupation, to apartheid, and to genocide, both in the past few days and throughout the decades of ongoing apartheid and occupation. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei zechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'me'ol maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechamata. Zamiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlam Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom bimramav, hu v'rachamav yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen.
The life I lead, speak for me. And then together, when I come to the end of the road, and I lay down my heavy load, let the songs we sing, speak for me. When we come to the end of the road, when we lay down our heavy load, let the songs we sing, speak for me.
We are here to grieve for the Palestinian men, women, and children who have been killed by the weapons the United States sends over. And critically, we are here to commit ourselves to work together towards the ends of the systems of occupation, apartheid, and ongoing Nakba that is ultimately responsible for their deaths and the deaths of thousands before them.
Over the weekend, 45 people, again, majority children, women, and elderly people, were murdered by US-produced bombs backed by our lawmakers and president. This is the agenda of the pro-war lobby, an alliance of war profiteers, AIPAC, and Christian Zionists. The White House was asked, how many more charred corpses does Biden have to see before he considers a change in policy? Their response? To say that question is offensive, when entire families, cities, and communities are being destroyed in Gaza. The outcry against the tent massacre was enough to push Netanyahu to claim this was a tragic mistake. But when something happens over 35,000 times over the course of almost 8 months, it is no accident. And this carnage did not start after the devastating attack on October 7th. For decades, the Israeli government has dodged accountability for abuse and murder of Palestinians by claiming innocence, vowing to pursue internal investigations, clearing themselves of wrongdoing, and repeating the process over again. Biden told us any incursion into Rafah would be a red line. Our question today is, Biden, where is your red line now? The ongoing genocide of the Palestinians has continued unabated due to the unwavering support of the United States. You and me and everyone in this country paid for the bombs that massacred displaced Palestinians living in those tents in Rafah. In fact, our taxes have paid for the majority of bombs and bullets Israel has rained down on Gaza. For months, people of all faiths and backgrounds have been pouring into the streets, doing everything we can think of to stop this deadly flow of US aid to Israel. Maybe you've been in the streets. Maybe this is your first time taking action with us. But if you're here with us today, you know the empty promise of a red line isn't enough. The US government has the power to stop this war and negotiate a hostage return for months. All our elected leaders like Biden have to do is decide no to the US funding Israel's mass murder of thousands of Palestinians, no to letting the hostages die abandoned in Gaza or in military detention in Israel, no to spending taxpayer dollars on genocide.
But every time Israel crosses one of our government's red lines, Biden just moves it. The US sends more bombs, the Israeli hostages languish, and more Palestinians die. We know that the Israeli government is intentionally inflicting as much damage as possible on Gaza because they have told us their intentions. How else can we interpret demands to flatten Gaza and rhetoric about Palestinians as human animals? It is far past time Biden and Schumer face facts and take action. Biden, we stand today outside of the White House to demand no money for massacres. We're here today to remind President Biden that Palestinians deserve safety and liberation first and foremost. We see the dehumanization of Palestinians as they are bombed in our name and with our tax dollars. We refuse to take part in this dehumanization, in the dehumanization of anyone, Palestinian and Israeli alike. As we recognize the horrible loss in all those who have died, we know there is awful suffering among the living too. Thousands of Israelis and Palestinians have been wounded in the violence, with many in critical condition. We also know there are hundreds of people being held in captivity: children, grandparents, parents, friends, and family. There are family and friends that don't know where their loved ones are. Hundreds remain missing in the chaos. Palestinians in Gaza are facing a humanitarian catastrophe. Israel's blockade of food, water, medication, and more means that life is being choked out of Gaza. The healthcare system has collapsed, meaning that even as medical care becomes more and more urgent, it is harder and harder to obtain. It is hard to find the words to convey the depth of suffering Israeli bombardment and starvation, policies of genocide and ethnic cleansing have caused. We are going to sing the Misha Berach, a prayer for healing. We hope that the injured, the captive, the missing, and their loved ones find strength, healing, and comfort in the days to come. And we pray for the speedy return of all those that are captive and missing.